In this video, I'm going to go over how to use Mastercam's Finish Pencil toolpath. Mastercam's Finish Pencil toolpath does a great job cleaning up small inside radiuses like the ones we see inside on this part. Now, oftentimes what happens is when we use our roughing toolpaths and even some finishing toolpaths, they won't pick up all the material inside these radiuses. Now, I'm going to go over how to find whether or not your toolpaths have cleaned up all this material using Verify, and then I'm going to show you how to clean this up completely with a Finish Pencil toolpath. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is go up here and click on Verify Selected Operations. Now, I have it set to verify all of our operations. I'm going to go over here to Verify and select Compare. I'm going to turn Color Loop off, and then I'm going to click Play. Now we're going to let this toolpath run through, and then when we get to the end, you'll see where our finished workpiece has some excess material. Now you can see here that everything in the green is what I'm going to say is within our tolerance. Everything that is this very light blue color is more than 10 thousandths out. So you can see how the radiuses here on the bases are out of tolerance by actually quite a bit. So we're going to go through and clean these up with our Finish Pencil toolpath. So I'm going to exit out of the Mastercam simulator. Now I'm going to do a couple more things here to check our part. I'm going to go over to the Home menu, and I'm going to select Dynamic under the Analyze group. Now I'm going to go down here and select this radius that we know our previous tool missed. The previous tool we used to cut this material was 3/16, so that radius being at about 94 thousandths obviously isn't going to be able to clean that up. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to go to our drop down next to Check Solid in the Analyze group. I'm going to select Curvature. Now I'm going to set our radius less than number to that 94 thousandths. That way we can check and see any radiuses that our previous tool may have missed. I'll go ahead and regenerate this. Now you can see all the radiuses here that are smaller than that 94 thousandths. Now it does show us red here and here, but we have to interpret this a little bit because these outside radiuses our 3/16 ball end mill actually did pick up. But these inside radiuses down here and in here would have made it very difficult for a 3/16 ball end mill to actually come in and clean up. So now what we're going to do is put in the size of the end mill that we want to use for our Finish Pencil toolpath to clean this up, which is going to be 1/8. So that radius would be 1/16. So I'll put that in. Now this is regenerated, and you can tell that everything here is in the clear. There's no red, which means there's no radiuses smaller than that tool, so it should have no problem coming in and cleaning this up. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the X, and I'm going to go to Toolpaths, and I'll click the drop down on 3D. I'm going to click Pencil. Now we're going to work our way down the list. So I'm going to start with our model geometry. I'm going to click Select Entities, and then I'm going to triple click our solid body here so that we get the entire part model. 1, 2, 3. I'll click End Selection. Now our entities for our machining geometry are selected. I'm going to go to Toolpath Control. I'm going to leave this how it is. Then I'll go down to our tool, and I'm going to select our 1/8 inch ball nose end mill. Now I'm going to go to our cut parameters, and most of the cut parameters for our pencil toolpath are basically just complex filters. So we're going to start with our cut method. We have one way, other way, zigzag, down mill, and up mill. Now I'm going to leave this at one way, but go ahead and try a few of those out and see which one works best for your situation. Now I'm going to go to our step over, which we will not have any step over yet because we do not have a number of offsets, which we will get to this later. The reference tool diameter is something that Mastercam usually takes care of for you, but it is important to note that this number should be bigger than the last tool used to machine the part. So this should be bigger than our 3/16. Now, normally Mastercam would only cut a pencil toolpath where the radius is less than or equal to the radius of the tool. Now we can use over thickness to force Mastercam to put a toolpath where it normally would not. So I'm going to go ahead and enter 15 thousandths here. Now Mastercam has a great description of over thickness in the help menu right here. If you click the question mark, this menu will pop up, and then you'll select over thickness and you'll get your description right here if you don't quite understand what I'm talking about. So I'll click the X, and then I'm going to talk here about the bitangency angle. This angle represents how shallow the angle between two surfaces must be in order for Mastercam to create a toolpath there. The typical recommended value for this is 165 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and see what Mastercam is doing with this toolpath so far. Now you can see what this pencil toolpath is doing. It's coming through and tracing around each of these crevices here and cleaning up all of the material inside that corner. Now there's a couple more things I want to change. I'm going to go into our parameters, and I'm going to go ahead and change our limit number of offsets to 5. Now this is going to create 5 additional passes on each side of this traced toolpath that we have here. So 11 total pencil toolpaths. Now I'm also going to go into our linking parameters, and I'm going to change full vertical retract to minimum distance, and I'm going to change our output feed move to 500. Now this is going to keep this toolpath from making these very large retracts in between each cut. Now I'm also going to go back into our cut parameters and change the step over to 10 thousandths. So what this is doing when I change my step over and my limit number of offsets, it's changing what this reference tool diameter number is. So right now this is showing that it's clearing out almost as much as a 1/4 inch end mill normally would. So to further illustrate this, I'm going to change my step over to 20 thousandths. And now you'll see that the reference tool diameter is 365 thousandths. So this is actually going to take out quite a bit of radius material here with a 20 thousandth step over. But we don't need quite that, so I'm going to change it to 10 thousandths. So now the big takeaway from all this is that our reference tool diameter should be a little bit bigger than the previous tool used to rough out this material. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK with our 10 thousandth step over and regenerate this toolpath. Now you can see here how this has taken multiple passes to clear out this corner. So now I'm going to go ahead and go into Verify Selected Operations, and I'm going to go to our Verify tab. I'm going to turn Compare on. I'm going to turn Color Loop off. So now that this is skipped through towards the end of our roughing toolpaths, you can see the little bit of material that was left around the edges here. So now I'm going to go ahead and click play and let this run through the pencil toolpath so you can see how it cleans up around the edges here. Now that this operation is done, you can see how we have no more material left in the radiuses of our part.